The chapter you have been waiting for may have begun before you felt ready to name it. If this message found you on August 1st, pause for a moment. There is something you need to hear before the noise of this new month pulls you back into the same routines, the same doubts, and the same private story you have been repeating for far too long. You may not feel different yet. Your surroundings may look exactly the same. The unanswered message may still be unanswered. The opportunity may not have appeared. The financial pressure may still be present. The relationship may still feel uncertain. Yet a new chapter rarely announces itself with loud music and perfect evidence. Most of the time, it begins as a quiet refusal to keep living in the old way. That refusal may already be growing inside you. You are tired of explaining away your own potential. You are tired of returning to places that make you smaller. You are tired of asking for signs while ignoring the honest feeling that says something must change. You are not weak for feeling tired. Sometimes exhaustion is the soul admitting that an old chapter has finally become too heavy to continue. Stay with me, because before this message ends, you will understand why the first day of a month can affect the way your mind sees change, how an old identity keeps writing new days with old language, and the simple decision that can turn August 1st into more than another date. Most people miss their new beginning, not because it never arrives, but because it does not look dramatic enough. They expect the new chapter to begin when the money comes, when the right person appears, when the fear disappears, or when everyone finally understands them. But a new chapter begins earlier. It begins when you stop needing the old evidence to tell you who you are allowed to become. This message is not promising that every problem will vanish tonight. It is not telling you that a calendar date controls your destiny. It is reminding you that dates can become doorways when you use them to make an honest decision. August 1st can become the moment you stop carrying July as a definition of your future. Take one slow breath. Let your body become still for a few seconds. You do not need to force hope. You do not need to pretend that the last chapter did not hurt. You only need enough willingness to believe that what happened before this moment does not get to decide everything that happens after it. Welcome. I am Elias Yoder. This is a place for people who are searching for clarity, strength, and meaning during the seasons nobody else fully understands. If this message feels like it reached you at the right time, subscribe and stay close. The next words may help you recognize a beginning that has already been trying to reach you. There is a reason August 1st feels different from an ordinary day in the middle of a month. Behavioral researchers call it the fresh start effect. They found that meaningful time markers, such as a Monday, birthday, New Year, or the first day of a month, can make people more willing to pursue important goals. One analysis found that gym attendance rose by about 33% at the beginning of a new month compared with the usual baseline. The calendar did not make anyone stronger overnight. The date created psychological distance between the person who struggled before and the person who felt ready to begin again. That is the first mystery of a new chapter. A date cannot change your life for you, but it can interrupt the story that says you must always remain the same. Researchers found that temporal landmarks can separate people from their past imperfections. They encourage a larger view of life. For one brief window, the mind can see the past as one period and the future as another. That separation creates hope because failure no longer feels like the final description of who you are. Do not skip this part, because this is where many new beginnings collapse. People feel the energy of a fresh start and immediately create an impossible plan. They decide to change everything at once. They demand perfection from the first day. Then one mistake feels like proof that nothing changed. Your next chapter does not require a perfect first page. It requires an honest one. You can begin August with one clear boundary, one conversation, one application, 1 hour of focused work, one decision to stop checking on someone who keeps reopening the same wound, one promise small enough to keep even when motivation disappears. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. Starting again does not erase the past. It changes the role the past is allowed to play. The old chapter can become a teacher instead of a prison. The rejection can show you where you were begging to be tolerated. The delay can reveal where your plan needed more strength. The disappointment can clarify what you will never again accept as love. The mistake can become information without becoming your identity. August 1st is powerful only if you stop treating it as a wish and start treating it as a line. On one side is the version of you who kept repeating the old story. On the other is the version willing to write one different sentence. And the sentence you choose next matters more than the promise you made at midnight. A new chapter often begins in silence because real change happens before public evidence. A seed opens beneath the ground long before anyone calls it growth. A decision forms in the heart long before it becomes visible in a person's life. You may already be in that hidden stage. Perhaps you no longer enjoy conversations that once distracted you. Perhaps the place you fought to remain in now feels too small. Perhaps you feel restless without knowing exactly what you want. Perhaps you are losing interest in proving yourself to people who never tried to understand you. These feelings do not always mean something is wrong. Sometimes they mean your identity is changing faster than your surroundings. Psychologists use the term narrative identity for the evolving story people create about who they are, what their experiences mean, and where their life is going. The important word is evolving. Your life story is not a finished document. It changes as you reinterpret the past and choose what meaning to carry forward. Do not skip this part. The facts of your past may be fixed, but the identity you built around those facts is not. You may have been rejected. That does not mean you are the person nobody chooses. You may have failed at something important. That does not mean failure is your natural destination. You may have trusted the wrong person. That does not mean your heart is foolish. It means you learned through an experience you would never willingly choose again. The old chapter says, "This always happens to me." The new chapter asks, "What is this teaching me to choose now?" That question changes your position. You are no longer only the character being carried by events. You become the person interpreting, choosing, and responding. Here is the pattern interrupt you may need today. You are not waiting for a new chapter. You are deciding whether to recognize the one that has already begun. Recognition comes before evidence. The boundary comes before the peaceful relationship. The application comes before the opportunity. The daily practice comes before confidence. The honest conversation comes before clarity. Your outer life often takes time to catch up with a decision made quietly inside you. Do not punish the seed because it is not yet a tree. Give your new chapter room to be small at first. Protect it from the part of you that demands immediate proof. The beginning may be a single morning in which you do not speak to yourself with cruelty. It may be one evening in which you choose rest instead of returning to a harmful pattern. And the next truth is difficult, because every new chapter asks you to release a role that once kept you safe. The old identity does not disappear simply because the date changes. It may follow you into August wearing familiar thoughts. Nothing works for me. I always ruin good things. I am too late. People like me never get that opportunity. I will begin when I feel ready. These thoughts often sound like facts because you have heard them in your own voice for years. But repetition is not proof. Familiarity is not truth. The old identity may resist change even when the old life is painful. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar possibility. At least familiar pain is predictable. A better future contains uncertainty, responsibility, and the risk of being seen differently. Do not skip this part, because you may mistake resistance for a warning. Feeling uncomfortable does not always mean you are walking in the wrong direction. Sometimes discomfort is the old self realizing it will not control the next chapter. You do not need to fight that part of yourself. It was built to protect you. At some point, expecting disappointment may have prevented you from being surprised by it. Staying small may have reduced criticism. Avoiding hope may have softened the pain when something failed. Thank that old identity for trying to protect you. Then tell it that protection is no longer allowed to become a prison. Say this quietly. That was how I survived. It is not how I must continue. There is a surprising technique that can help when emotions become overwhelming. Research suggests that speaking to yourself in the third person, using your own name, can create psychological distance and reduce emotional reactivity without requiring as much mental effort as people might expect. Instead of saying, "I cannot handle this," ask, "What does Elias need to do next?" Use your own name, not mine. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you deeply care about. Ask, "What does this person need right now? What is the next wise step? Which burden is not theirs to carry anymore?" You may notice that compassion becomes easier when you step outside the storm for a moment. The problem does not vanish, but you are no longer trapped at its center. The old chapter speaks with accusation. The new chapter speaks with guidance. And once you change the voice guiding you, one hidden door begins to open. Your next chapter needs a name, not a perfect plan, a direction. People often say they want a better life, but better is too vague for the mind to follow. Better in what way? More peaceful? More disciplined? More honest? More creative? More connected to God? More willing to protect your energy? More courageous about your work? Choose one word for August. Peace, courage, discipline, healing, clarity, trust, creation, freedom, devotion. Do not choose the word that sounds most impressive. Choose the one your life actually needs. If you choose peace, it may require a boundary. If you choose discipline, it may require doing the task after excitement fades. If you choose healing, it may require asking for professional support. If you choose freedom, it may require disappointing someone who benefited from your lack of boundaries. A true direction will ask something from you. That is how you know it is more than decoration. Here is the truth nobody says out loud. Your new chapter cannot be built only from what you want to receive. It must also be built from what you are willing to practice. You may want confidence, but confidence often grows after repeated action. You may want clarity, but clarity often appears after you stop feeding every distraction. You may want a new opportunity, but opportunity needs evidence that you are preparing to hold it. Do not skip this part. Ask yourself, what would a person living my chosen word do within the next 24 hours? Not for the entire month, not forever, within the next 24 hours. If your word is peace, turn off the noise for 20 minutes. If your word is discipline, complete the first 10 minutes of the task. If your word is courage, send the message. If your word is healing, make the appointment. If your word is freedom, remove one access point the old pattern keeps using. The action can be small. It only needs to be real. Because the next chapter becomes believable when your behavior gives your mind new evidence. There is a difference between a wish and a doorway. A wish asks life to change first. A doorway asks you to take one step before the whole path is visible. Researchers studying goal pursuit found that a simple method called an implementation intention can help people turn desire into action. It uses an if-then plan. If a certain situation happens, then I will perform a specific response. A review covering 94 studies found that these plans had a meaningful effect on goal achievement. The reason is simple. You make the decision before fear, distraction, or low motivation arrives. Your August plan might sound like this. If I wake up and want to check my phone, then I will take 3 breaths and read my chosen word first. If I start telling myself I am too late, then I will work on my next step for 5 minutes. If the person who drains me tries to restart the old cycle, then I will pause before responding. If an opportunity appears, then I will investigate it before fear says no. If I miss one day, then I will return the next day without turning a mistake into an identity. That final plan matters. Many people do not fail because they miss once. They fail because they turn one missed day into a story about who they are. Do not skip this part. Your new chapter needs a return plan, not a perfection fantasy. You will have difficult mornings. The old voice may return. Motivation will move like weather. None of that means the chapter ended. It means you are human while learning a new way to live. The strongest version of you is not the one who never falls out of rhythm. It is the one who knows how to return without shame. Make that return easier by changing one thing in your environment tonight. Put the book where your phone usually sits. Place the walking shoes beside the door. Remove the shortcut that takes you back to the old distraction. Write your chosen word where your eyes will meet it in the morning. People often blame themselves for lacking willpower while keeping every old cue in exactly the same place. But your environment speaks before motivation has time to answer. A small visible reminder can protect a decision when emotion becomes unreliable. Do not build the new chapter only inside your thoughts. Give it a physical address, a page on your desk, a reminder on the wall, a prepared glass of water, a blocked number, a cleared corner. Something simple that says, "A different life is being practiced here." The change may look insignificant to everyone else. That is fine. The most sacred beginnings are often protected by their smallness. And there is one more reason this message may have found you today. You may be searching for signs of change in the wrong places. People expect a new chapter to feel exciting, but beginnings can feel empty. The old routine is fading, while the new one is not yet familiar. The people around you may not understand your silence. You may feel lonely because you no longer fit where you were, but you have not reached where you are going. This middle space is not failure. It is transition. Do not judge yourself if this transition contains sadness. A new chapter can be right and still require grief. You may grieve the person you hoped would change. You may grieve the years spent waiting. You may grieve the version of yourself who worked so hard for love that should never have required self-betrayal. Grief does not mean you made the wrong decision. It means something mattered. You can miss an old place without moving back into it. You can love someone and still accept that the relationship cannot guide your future. You can respect who you were and still refuse to repeat their choices. Do not skip this part. Many people reopen a closed chapter because they mistake missing something for needing it. Familiarity pulls at the heart, especially when the new path feels quiet. But longing is not always instruction. Sometimes it is only the nervous system reaching for what it already knows. When that longing appears, do not ask only, "Do I miss it?" Ask, "Who did I become while I was there?" Ask, "Did that chapter allow me to grow, speak honestly, and feel safe?" Ask, "Would returning honor the person I am trying to become?" Your heart deserves compassion, but your future also deserves protection. One sign of a new chapter is that old conversations begin to exhaust you. Another is that your tolerance for disrespect becomes smaller. You may feel drawn toward order, rest, learning, prayer, or solitude. You may feel grief for the time you lost. You may suddenly notice how often you betrayed your own needs to keep peace with others. These realizations can hurt. Awareness often arrives before relief. Here is the pattern interrupt. Peace does not always enter your life as comfort. Sometimes it enters as the courage to become uncomfortable for the right reason. The boundary may feel cruel because you were trained to call self-abandonment kindness. Rest may feel irresponsible because you were praised only when exhausted. Receiving may feel unsafe because you learned to earn every drop of care. Your next chapter may challenge definitions you inherited from people who never had to live with their consequences. Do not rush to explain your transformation. New roots need darkness before they can hold visible growth. Let your actions become the explanation. Let consistency speak after excitement becomes quiet. And what you do tonight can become the first private proof that August is different. Before you sleep, take a blank page. Write 3 short sentences. First, the chapter I am closing taught me. Finish the sentence without attacking yourself. Name the lesson. Second, the chapter beginning now will be guided by. Write your chosen word. Third, within 24 hours, I will. Write one action with a time and place. Then read the 3 sentences out loud, not as a magical command to the universe. Read them as an agreement between your present self and the person you are becoming. If faith is important to you, place the plan in God's hands. Ask for guidance, not control. Ask for courage to recognize the right door and wisdom to walk away from the wrong one. Then release the need to see the entire month tonight. You are not supposed to know every page of a chapter you have just entered. You only need enough light for the next honest step. Before you go, listen to this one final truth carefully. It may be the most important part of this message. Your next chapter did not begin because August first possesses magical power. It began because something within you became willing to stop treating the past as a life sentence. You arrived here carrying disappointment, questions, and perhaps a private fear that nothing would ever truly change. But now you know that beginnings are often quiet. A new identity grows when you reinterpret the old story. Choose one guiding value and take one action that gives your mind new evidence. Everything you just heard, you already knew somewhere deep inside. You only needed someone to remind you. You are not too late. You are not disqualified because another beginning failed. You are not required to feel fearless. You are required only to become honest about what can no longer continue. Let August be the month you stop asking the old chapter for permission. Choose your word. Make your if-then plan. Take the next step. Return without shame when you lose rhythm. Protect the beginning before it becomes visible. And when doubt asks for proof, tell it this. The proof is that I am responding differently now. If this message found you on August 1st, write this in the comments. My next chapter has begun. Let those words become a simple declaration that you are no longer waiting for perfect evidence before choosing a new direction. If this message helped you feel seen, like the video and subscribe. Stay with me here. We will continue building this new chapter with wisdom, grounded faith, and the kind of courage that grows through small, honest actions. The first page does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be different. Your next chapter has already begun.